A tooth that hurts really bad or that you've been told needs a root canal does not always need a root canal. Tooth pain is a warning sign. It's not always a sentence for a root canal or a tooth extraction. When a tooth starts to hurt, most people assume that they have a nerve problem, that the only option is a root canal. But in many cases, there is nerve inflammation, nerve irritation, pulpal inflammation, or cracks on the tooth structure itself, not an actual infection. If the cause of the irritation is found early enough, removing the stress from the tooth can avoid a root canal. Again, we need to see you super early. It's 50-50 each week. Half of my patients find this information soon enough when the tooth hurts or when someone's told them they need a root canal, that then we can talk and explain how that can be avoided and get the proper imaging with AI, with 3D imaging to know if that is the case for them, and doing some tests on the tooth to see if it's vital, if there's blood flow, if there's nerve flow, or if there's blood flow, if the nerve is alive, if there's lymphatic flow. Those are very important things. If we can address that those things exist in the tooth, we can heal the tooth before it dies, before it becomes infected, and before you need a root canal, tooth pull, extraction, etc. What was I gonna say? We need to calm the nerve down. So that's what we can talk about today. So I'm gonna talk about just a few of the tools that we use, some things that you can use at home, because a lot of people are watching this video are not local to our practice. But we'll talk about a few things you can use at home and then a few things that we can do in the office. There's a very small window for intervention. Like I said, each week, half the people, by the time they make the appointment 2, 3, 4 weeks ago to when they come in, it's too late. Once the inflammation turns into infection inside the nerve, there's swelling, there's abscesses, there's death. We do not have a lot of tools right now in this day and age to help. The sooner it's evaluated, the greater chance the nerve can heal. At home, some things that you can do until you get in to see us is you can swish a few drops of clove oil and colloidal silver and a tablespoon of coconut oil for 15 minutes. Naturally antibacterial, naturally will soothe the nerve. You can also apply activated charcoal, garlic oil, olive leaf, golden seal, echinacea. You can take all of those either on the area and then swish and swallow, or just take it under the tongue and swallow. Again, we'll get rid of the bacteria. You want to stick to a very soft diet. Do not chew anything hard if the pain is coming from cracks in the tooth or the filling until you see us. Clenching, grinding, all that stuff that I always show you about nose, mouth breathing, tongue to the roof of your mouth, releasing the jaw, a must until you see us. Once you see us, that is when you have a few other things you can do. Sorry, I forgot to mention the homeopathic remedies. You can take some homeopathic remedies to calm the nerve to help, and also some Chinese herbs and food. So homeopathic remedies that can help with the nerve pain is hypericum, and then some Chinese herbs, medical grade turmeric, curcumin, you can get the extract. That can really help with the inflammation. So that's amazing. So sorry I forgot to mention those two things you can do at home. And then as long as you get to see us as soon as possible, we can do that CBCT, a 3D image of the tooth. We can test the tooth with different tools that we have to see how the integrity of the tooth is, if it is cracks in a filling or cracks in the tooth itself. We have photo imaging where we can shine lights in these areas and take photos, and bite sticks to test, the bite, it's actually coming from forces, and we can get to those areas soon enough. Now, if it is bacterial involvement, if it's a cavity, with AI software that we have, looking at your image, we can tell how deep it is in the enamel and in the dentin, because normally it's through dentin, and how close it is to the pulp. And when we're removing that decay, we can use some really cool things like ozone. We can use bioactive materials to regenerate dentin and enamel. We can use natural disinfectants. Ozone, again, oxygen therapy is one of those. But there's other natural disinfectants that we can use too, like colloidal silver that we talked about. There is also areas that we can basically use instruments to clean the cavity that's along the nerve very, very gently instead of drilling by the nerve, because that can turn what the bacteria that was already sitting there and going in and out your nerve, it can upset it and aggravate it, and then the nerve gets aggravated and increases the inflammation. We can use things like laser energy and red light therapy to decrease the inflammation and the infection down near the nerve. And then once we place those bioactive materials, that kind of little barrier by the nerve, I tell people it's almost like a little pillow of medicine by the nerve to keep it happy, and those disinfectants. And then we can place the filling or the crown depending what the tooth needs. And we can give you, again, the same advice that I just gave you before the appointment until you can see us. Then you're going to be doing these things after the appointment. Sometimes we may need to add a homeopathic remedy like staph sagria. It depends what kind of sensation you're having in the tooth or pain. We'll need to stick with things like the colloidal silver, the coconut oil, potassium nitrate. We might have to add toothpaste for sensitive teeth. So there's some natural toothpaste that have potassium nitrate in them, sometimes some Lugol's iodine, and really up your minerals. Like I said, boron, magnesium, phosphorus, calcium. I've talked about lots of trace minerals before. Pink Himalayan salt, there's certain brands I have out in my cabinet, 84 trace minerals in there. There's trace minerals drops. Or you can join me on my videos where we get our minerals from food. Can also the arugula, so the parsley, the weeds, dandelions. So you can come out there and forage with me or visit me in my garden on some of the other videos, and we can actually use herbs and food and weeds that have a ton of minerals in to just keep the tooth strong and calm the nerve, inflammation, and increasing lymph flow. There's a lot of videos online of some really great lymph flow specialists that'll show you where to rub. I'll do some videos on it as well, but you can, again, there's so many people that I work with and partners that people don't realize increasing the lymph flow it's to the tooth. It will heal it, but you've got to do it. And it does take a little bit of a method. So if you're interested in increasing the lymph to your tooth to help heal it so you can avoid a root canal, and seeing us so that we can provide ozonated therapy, gently remove the streptococcus bacteria that are causing the cavity, remove the decay, and put some bioactive medicated barriers by your nerve and hold the tooth together, then come in for a holistic consult, because that's my passion. I don't want root canals in my mouth, and I don't want other patients to have root canals. You have to see us early. I think you got that in the beginning of the video. That's the most important thing. Once people already are abscessing or swelling and they've been told a few times they need a root canal, then it's too late. But if you've just been told like once or tooth starts to hurt a little bit, that is the time to jump on and get in to see us, or jump on one of my online consults, holistic consults that you can schedule through Calendly. All right, talk to you soon and see you soon.